Hello students, welcome to Social Studies online class. As we started the lesson, production and employment, in the previous session of online classes we studied about there are the different kinds and different types of sectors which are in a consecution manner compared to the 1975-76, 2011-12, the sectors are decreased and increased in the three types also, like primary, secondary, tertiary. So as per the census of the 2011, we can say that majority part of the people are employed in the service sector as per the census of 2011, which we studied in the previous classes as pie charts and tables which we were examined in the previous classes. As per that report, we can say that there are the drastically decrease in the primary sector compared to secondary and tertiary sector. Let us we see in the today's online class organized and unorganized sector employment in India. Organized and unorganized sector employment in India. So organized sector and unorganized sector, question may ask in the section 2 as 2 marks or in the brief information in section 3 for 4 marks. Organized sector or unorganized sector, what do you mean by organized sector? Organized sector, which means a person who is working in a government organization. So he has the full of facilities, he will get paid leaves, he has the medical facility, he has the week off facility, he has several facilities, and he has PF facility, ESI facility, he has all those facilities. Even he can keep, if he feels sick, a medical leave also. He has a lot of facilities that we know. Where these all the facilities are available in the organized sector. Then what about unorganized sector? Unorganized sector is a sector which completely depends on our efficiency and stamina. See here, a person who is working in the unorganized sector, if he work continuously, when he was working, then only he will get the wages. Otherwise, if he do not work, if suppose he is working in a week 3 days, he will get that 3 days wages only. The remaining 4 days he will not get anything. Then how does his family to get feed? This is very difficult task to the unorganized employees. So what was happened here? Let us we see in variations examples which are given here. So far we have seen how different sectors contribute to gross domestic product of India, and also realized the comparative importance of the three sectors. This helps us to analyze the shifts that take place or don't take place for both production and employment, which means where the different types of the sectors are contributing here in the part of gross domestic product. Even the sector which is coming in the industrialization in secondary sector, tertiary sector, both these sectors are also partly including their contribution in the gross domestic product. For our country, we don't see substantial shift in the employment, and to explore these views, another method of the classification focusing on the nature of employment. The classification discussed below emphasizes the problems of the employment and the associated conditions of work even more starkly, which means there are several sectors, but that sectors are coming under the calculation of the gross domestic product. But here main thing is that where these three sectors are also included in the tertiary and primary, secondary, these are the sectors. Basically, are they coming in the organized sector or in the unorganized sector is the matter. Here one example is given. Narsimha and Rajeshwari. Narsimha, who was employed in the organized sector, Rajeshwari, who was working as a brick labor near a monsoon, and she was working in the unorganized sector. Let us see what calculations, what variations was given here in the organized sector by Narasimha, unorganized sector Rajeshwari. Narasimha works in a government office. He attends the office from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. He uses his motorbike to travel from his house to office, which is about 5 kilometers away. He gets his salary regularly at the end of every month, deposited in his bank account. In addition to the salary, he also gets a provident fund, PF provident fund, as per the rules laid down by the government. He also gets medical and other allowances. Narasimha does not go to office on Sunday. This is a paid holiday. Narasimha does not go to office on Sunday. This is a paid holiday. When he joining work, he was given an appointment letter starting all the terms and conditions of work. So it was the organized sector. Let us see Rajeshwari, unorganized sector. Rajeshwari is working as a contribution worker. She goes for work at 7 a.m. and returns home at 7 p.m., which means consequently she was working 12 hours. She travels about 8 to 10 kilometers daily for work by bus. Construction workers get 1 hour lunch break between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. She gets work only for 10 to 12 days a month. In a month, she gets 10 to 12 days only work. Remaining days, she do not have any work. On the remaining days, she has no work and she does not get any work, any wages. She gets rupees 150 per day as wages. Mostly, she is paid the wages on the spot in the evening. When she works for the 3 or 4 days at the same spot, she is paid after the work completes. She gets more work from the February to June, July to January is unseasonal. Rajeshwari is a member of a self-help group. In her locality, the government will pay some compensation in case of the death or major injury while she is at work. There is no help from the government for the treatment in the accidents while working. She is also a part of the group that works under a mason. There are 6 to 10 workers under each mason, which means unorganized sector people and unorganized sector people's lives are tragically very impactful, and while they are working there are several things might be happen, the hazardous things which can comes, but towards of that who will take responsibility, they have to take their self responsibility. This was the thing we can understand. So they have the very less work also, where the people are working in the unorganized sector compared to organized sector. Unorganized sector is very discussed and which was making them to very less wages. After the lot of effort, they have to get very less wages. These are the things we can see here. See next, Narasimha and Rajeshwari are illustrative examples of the workers employed in the organized and unorganized sectors respectively. Do you see the difference in their conditions of work? The distinctions between the organized and unorganized sectors helps us to understand the working situations and wages received by the majority of workers in the country. 92% of the workers in India are found in unorganized sector and only 8% find work the organized sector. See what was given here, 92% of India employees are working in the unorganized sector, only just 8% people are working in the organized sector, where the government organizations are available, where the government organization was appointed to these people. Organized sector covers those enterprises or places of work where the terms of the employment are regular, and therefore the people have assured work. They are registered by the government and have to follow its rules and regulations which are given in the various laws, such as the Factories Acts, Minimum Wages Acts, Shops and Establishment Act, etc. It is called the organized sector because it has some formal process and procedures. Workers in the organized sector enjoy security of the employment. They are expected to work only for a fixed number of hours. If they work more, they have to be paid overtime by the employer. They also get several other benefits from the employer. They get paid leave, payments during the holidays, provided funds, etc. They are supposed to get medical benefits, and under the laws, the employer has ensured the facilities like the drinking water and a safe working environment. When they retire, many of these workers get the pensions as well. People who work in the government or with the companies or large establishments are all in the organized sector, which means here the examples which are given between the organized and unorganized sector. Nowadays unorganized sectors also, where the labor law of India was instructed to the several organizations, where the organizations are in unorganized sector, inorganized sectors, which means where the sectors completely included in the unorganized sectors. Unorganized sectors are instructed by the labor law of India. They have to provide provided fund facility, they have to give the paid leaves, they have to give the employee state insurance policy, and these all the things which are included by the labor law of India in the unorganized sector. Also several, like suppose there was a big industry, in that industry nearly 150 employees are employed, and the employer should provide these all facilities to the employees. Employer means the head of the industry who was given job opportunities to this 150 people. Employees means these are the 150 people where they are working in one industry. Employer should provide to the employees these all the facilities. That was also very important thing, where the labor law of India was included after the several acts in the unorganized sector also. This was the basic thing, very important thing which we can understand. At present, if labor law of India was provided the several facilities where the people are working in the unorganized sector also, according to labor law they have to get all those facilities where they no need to suffer. They have either they do not get paid leaves, if they do not get salaries, if they do not given provided fund facility, ESA facility, which means these all the problems are raised by the people, and labor law of India will be taken action on that industry. So this can be happen in unorganized sector also, where some facilities are given as part of that organization is bounded by the government of India. The unorganized sector is characterized by the small and the scattered units which have remained largely outside the control of the government. There are rules and regulations, but these are not followed or the enforced. Jobs there are low paid and not regular. There is no provision for the overtime, paid leave, holidays, leave due to the sickness, etc. Employment is not secure. People can be asked to leave without any reason when there is less work during the some seasons. Some people may be asked to leave. A lot also depends on the whims, which means where they're based on their demands of the employer or changes in the market situations. So these are the in organized and unorganized sectors, these are the variations we can find. If suppose completely, if you keep leave for a month, you will not be given the wages in that month. These things will happen in the consecution of in the comparison of the organized sector and unorganized sector, because organized sector which completely secured by the government, unorganized sector was which is based on the facilities and its manufacturing things, and where it was required in the several aspects, like which it has the sources, it depends on that. To ask, to demand the facilities which are providing in the organized sector, in unorganized sector also, which is not so possible, where the industry will get the lot of amount benefited, which means the industry was benefited with the lot of amount, which means meanwhile this industry also should provide to its employees as labor law of India is demanded in its act. Besides the above mentioned categories, this sector includes a large number of people who are employed on their own, self-employed. Almost half of the workers are self-employed. You would find them everywhere doing small jobs such as selling on the street or doing repair work or as hawkers. Similarly, farmers are largely self-employed and also hire laborers as and when they require, which means a vegetable vendor who is selling vegetables in a locality, when he was selling which vegetables he has, when he was selling that vegetables, then only he will get the benefits towards of his struggle. Otherwise, what vegetables was brought by that employee, that cannot be given, that cannot be benefited, and even though returnly he should get the losses in his processor. These are the things will happen probably, which we can understand based on these things. Because of that, here the struggles are making even comparison. If we take the example to the farmer should work continuously in his field as per as he know how much land he has, and if he require laborers, he will hire the laborers and he will take the work in his field with the laborers also. Because if he do not work, then what will happen here? That will happen here, you know that he will not get anything after having land also, after having agriculture land also he will not get anything. That we can notice, that we can understand here in the provisions. The organized sector offers jobs that are most sought after, but the employment opportunities in the organized sector have been expanding very slow. As a result, a large number of workers are forced to enter the unorganized sector jobs which pay a very low salary. They are often exploited and not paid a fair wage. Their earnings are low and not regular. When workers lost their jobs in the organized sector, they are forced to take up jobs in the unorganized sector with low earnings. Besides the needs for more work, there is also a need for protection and support of the workers in the unorganized sector, which means unorganized sectors do not have any security compared to the organized sector, where the organized sectors are hired, even unorganized sectors will be removed at any time as per the demanding of the work. So here low salaries will be paid here, where they are working in the unorganized sector. They do not have facilities compared to the organized sector. Who are these vulnerable people who need protection in the rural areas? The unorganized sector mostly comprises of the landless agriculture laborers, small and the marginal farmers, sharecroppers and artisans such as weavers, blacksmiths, carpenters and goldsmiths. Nearly 80% of the rural households in the India are in the small and marginal farmer category. These farmers need to be supported to the adequate facilities for the timely delivery of the seeds and agricultural inputs, credits and storage facilities, and the marketing outlets as farms laborers, they require adequate work and payment of the minimum wages. In the urban areas, an organized sector comprises mainly of the workers in the small scale industry and casual workers in the conditions, trade and the transport, etc., and those who work as street vendors, headload workers and garment makers, rack pickers, etc. Small scale industry also needs government support for the procuring raw materials and marketing of output. These casual workers in the both rural and urban areas need to be protected, which means we can see the several people from the rural areas compared to the urban areas, where the rural area people are seeking the lot of demands as per the urban area. Suppose a farmer who was produced quintals of the crop in the rural area, now that crop should be exported to the urban area, then it was a demandable thing to the rural area people, where he gets a lot of amount of the price, minimum support price in the urban area only when he exports. The transportation and the labor requirement to transport his produced quintals of the crop to the urban area, these all will come in the expansion only. So this for these things the government should provide the facilities in their locality only, as bearing to the transportation and other excluding charges which are coming here. We also find the majority of the workers from the scheduled caste and tribes and the backward communities find themselves in the unorganized sector. It is worse if one is a woman from these communities. Besides getting the irregular and low paid work, these workers also face social discrimination and protection and the support to the unorganized sector workers is this necessary for the both economic and social development? No, at present, as per the Constitution of India, discrimination is eradicated completely here. If suppose even in the people where they are working in their demandable workings also, if they are imposing any discriminations in male and female, men and women, which means it is very danger thing where we can compare in the organized sector also, in unorganized sector also, which cannot make any sense as per the Constitution of India. Let's examine both the production of goods and services and employment from these sectors. The unorganized sector also contributes to GDP during the 2004 and 5. The unorganized sector workers accounted for the 92% of all workers that contributed half of all the production. One of the other hand, only 8% of the people had a decent employment and contribute 50% of the production of the goods and services. The products and services of these companies find a market, but they support a very small section of the population with the privileged jobs. This is an extremely unequal situation. The rest find only insecure, low-paying jobs or are self-employed with low earnings or remain underemployed, which means if suppose the people who are working in the unorganized sector, while they are working in the unorganized sector, if suppose they are hating that employment, which is a very demandable thing to that, because they come under the underemployment only, which means they are in the suffrage of the employment only, because after the work of the continuation, after the work of the consequation, also they are facing these situational problems, which means which is demandable thing only, because they are working in an organized sector but they are not satisfied with that employment, which means they are under a suffrage of a underemployment only, we can think that. So these are the situations which comes under the what is an underemployment question may ask here. The underemployment, this is the extremely unequal situation. The rest find only the insecure low paying jobs or are self-employed with the low earnings, or the remain comes under the underemployed. How to create more and better condition of employment? How to create more and better conditioned employment. The last title of this chapter. See, a large number of the people should have found a decent employment in the industry and services, but this has not taken place. Production in industry and the services has increased without a similar increase in the employment. When we look at how people are employed, we find that most people are in the unorganized sector, barely able to find work. The increase in the production in the benefiting only about 8% of the workers. Hence, in what ways can one increase employment for all people? Let us look at the some of them, which means take the case of Gayatri with her 2 hectares plot of the unirrigated land. The government can spend some of money or banks can provide a loan to construct a well for her family to irrigate the land. Gayatri will then be able to irrigate her land and take a second crop. Wheat during the Rabi season, let us suppose that 1 hectare 2.5 hectares of the wheat can provide the employment to the 2 people for the 50 days, including sowing, watering, fertilizer application and the harvesting. So 2 more members of the family can be employed in her own field. Now suppose many small dams are constructed and canals are dug to irrigate many such farms. This could lead to a lot of the employment generation within the agricultural sector itself, reducing her problem of the unorganized employment, which means where we are comparing these things. So to increase the employment in agriculture sector, in a primary sector, which means the government should ensure the primary steps, that where the government should support as providing loans where a person was insufficient with the financially, where he cannot produce after having land also the second crop. And also government should provide here to the farmers like the small canals, dams should be constructed to get very well irrigated facilities in their lands. So these all the things will ensure here where we are comparing the other aspects. Now suppose the Gayatri and the other farmers produce much more, and then before they would also need to sell some of these. For this, they may be required to transport their products to a nearby town. If the government invests some money in the transportation and storage of crops, or makes better rural loads so that mini trucks reach everywhere, several farmers like Gayatri who now have access to water can continue to grow and sell these crops. This activity can provide productivity employment to not just farmers but also others, such as these in the services like the transport or trade, which means here it was ensuring that a rural farmer who was produced a lot of crop, when the government was provided a transport facility also to sell his crop in the urban area, meanwhile the government is increasing indirectly employment opportunity under the service sector here. Then the several people are required to load that and here the vehicle is required under a transportation to supply to export that product in the urban area. So these all the requirements are increasing the employment opportunities. We can say that Gayatri's needs is not confined to water alone, the cultivate the land. She also needs seeds, fertilizers, agriculture equipments and pump sets to draw water. Being a poor farmer, she cannot afford many of these, so she will have to be borrow money, farmers, money lenders and pay a high rate of the interest. If the local bank gives her credit at a reasonable rate of the interest, she will be able to buy all this in the time and cultivate her land. This means that along with water, we also need to provide cheap agricultural credit to the farmers for the farming to the improve, which means the government should provide loans to the farmers. At present, the Telangana government is providing loans to the farmers, but this was the lesson was as a part of the economy system of India was given compared to the previous census and previous situations. At present, all the farmers are getting loans to cultivate, to purchase pesticides, chemicals, fertilizers, seeds, but previously there is no such facilities to solve to small farmers also. Another way by which we can tackle these problems in the identify of the promote and the locate the industries and the services in the semi-rural areas where a large number of people may be employed. For the instance, many farmers decide to grow millets and other cereals and setting up a flour mill or the produce and process these and sell in the cities is one such example. Opening a cold storage could give an opportunity for the farmers to store their products like chilies and onions and sell them when the price is good. In villages near the forest areas, we can start honey collection centers where people can come and sell wild honey. It is also possible to set up the industries that process vegetables and agriculture produces like the tomato, chilies, mango, rice, red gram, fruits, which can be sold in the outside markets. This will provide the employment in the industries located in semi-rural areas and not necessarily in the large urban centers. Today, we not only have to generate new employment opportunities but also train many workers to work efficiently and with the mechanics, machines. We should invest in many industries in both rural and semi-urban areas so that we are able to produce many more goods and services, which means indirectly here it was asking to demanding to the government should take initiative steps towards of the caring towards of its citizens where the people are under a suffrage, where it should take the initiative steps towards of the people where the people are in a needy and where the people are not in a full facilities by government support is required. Here when the otherwise money lenders will give, they impose the high amount of the interest, their farmers cannot be afforded and finally they should comes to a stage to sell their land also. So these are the situations will happen. To increase the employment opportunities, government should take initiative steps like increasing the industries, providing facilities to the farmers like loans and investment and cold storage centers when the farmers will get the sufficient rate to their produced products. So these all the things are required here in the under the production and employment. Okay, thank you. In next session of the online class or in a text, I will keep the contemporary issue and project which you have to write in your project books. Thank you.